When you imagine a king arriving in a city, what comes to mind? A parade? A motorcade? Applause? Red carpet? Dignitaries? Crowds standing tall, reaching for phones to catch the moment? Now imagine the opposite. A dusty road, a borrowed donkey, a carpenter from the Galilean countryside coming in without armor, without fanfare, without force. That's Palm Sunday. It's one of the more curious and paradoxical moments in the life of Jesus. The opening scene of Holy Week, the beginning of the road to the cross. And it starts not with a triumphal display of might and power, but with Jesus making his way toward Jerusalem in quiet majesty, not riding a warhorse, but a donkey. Matthew tells it this way. He writes, "As they approached Jerusalem, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, 'Go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied there. Untie it and bring it to me.' This took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. 'Say to the daughter of Zion, see, your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, on a colt, on the foal of a donkey.'" That's the first part of Matthew 21. It's an unexpected kind of entrance, and yet the crowds gather. They cry out, "Hosanna," which means, "Save us now, Lord." They wave palm branches and lay their cloaks on the road, honoring Jesus like royalty. They call him Son of David, invoking messianic kingly hope. And they're not wrong to do so. He is the king they've been waiting for, just not in the way they imagined. They wanted a liberator, someone to confront Rome and to put Rome in its place, someone to change the political landscape and give them back their national identity and their national pride. Instead, Jesus comes to confront something deeper, not the empire outside of them, but the pride and self-sufficiency that was within them. And 5 days later, many of those same voices that were shouting Hosanna will soon shout, "Crucify him." What would change? Not Jesus, but their expectations would change. Palm Sunday holds up a mirror. It asks, what kind of king do we really want for ourselves? And what kind of king do we really need? The tension between those 2 answers is where grace meets us. Many of us want a Jesus who will affirm our hopes, our preferences, our version of the good life. We welcome him when he aligns with our dreams, but wrestle when he leads us somewhere unexpected and undesired. But Jesus is not a mascot. He's not an accessory to our self-made lives. He is the King. And his way, though often confusing to us, is always rooted in goodness. We see this quiet strength, this humble authority in the life of Nelson Mandela. Perhaps you've heard of him. After spending 27 years in prison, Mandela was released into a South Africa still simmering with resentment and violence. He had every reason to come out swinging, to retaliate, to assert control, and to settle the score. But instead, Mandela chose the path of peace. At his inauguration, rather than speaking with bitterness, he invited his former jailers to attend the ceremony. He wore a warm, steady smile the whole time, not one of triumphalism, but of resolve and reconciliation and peace. He launched not into vengeance, but into forgiveness. That kind of leadership from Mandela doesn't announce itself with force. It quietly disarms through love. He didn't deny the injustice that he had endured, because there was plenty of that. But he did choose to answer it with something much greater than retaliation. He understood that true power is found not in domination, but in self-giving and in self-donation. Not in punishing, but in repairing. That's the spirit of Palm Sunday also. Jesus rides into the city not to overthrow it, but to redeem it. He doesn't grasp at power, he empties himself of it. He is, as the prophet Isaiah had foretold, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. And yet he enters Jerusalem with compassion, not resentment. He weeps over the city that will soon reject him. He chooses not retaliation, but restoration. And here is where Charles Spurgeon's words help name what Jesus is doing in this very moment. Speaking of Christ's humility, Spurgeon wrote, He who was born in a stable and cradled in a manger stoops to conquer. It is his way, not with the sword, but with a towel, not with might, but with mercy. That's Spurgeon from his sermon called The Royal Pair in One Chariot. Jesus stoops to conquer, and he still does. There's a phrase from the prophet Zechariah quoted in Matthew that says, "See, your king comes to you." That one line says it all. He comes to you. He doesn't wait for us to climb our way up to him. He doesn't demand that we get our act together first. He moves toward us into our fears, our questions, our pride, our pain, and our self-loathing. He comes to you. And he comes knowing full well what awaits: the betrayal, the injustice, the cross. He knows that the cheers of Palm Sunday will soon become the jeers of Good Friday. And still he rides in, and still he stoops. C.S. Lewis once wrote something in Mere Christianity that has always stayed with me. He said this: "The terrible thing, the almost impossible thing, is to hand over your whole self to Christ. But it is far easier than what we are all trying to do instead. For what we are trying to do is to remain what we call ourselves, to keep personal happiness as our great aim in life, and yet at the same time be good. Christ says, 'Give me all. I don't want so much of your time and so much of your money and so much of your work. I want you. I have not come to torment your natural self, but to kill it. No half measures are any good.'" That's C.S. Lewis for you. And that's the invitation of Palm Sunday. Jesus isn't asking for religious performance, he's asking for surrender. To lay down not just palm branches, but control. Not just our cloaks, but our carefully managed and curated lives. Palm Sunday is a gentle disruption. It's a reordering of things. It's like a cathedral long closed, filled with dust and silence, whose doors are suddenly opened again to light and air and music. The structure is still good. The beauty is still there, but it needs fresh breath. It needs to be reclaimed. That's what Jesus is doing, not just in Jerusalem, but in us, right here and right now. He comes into the city to cleanse the temple, and he comes into the human heart to do the very same thing. Not with shame, not with scolding, but with purpose and vision for our lives. Not to scold us, but to restore us. So what does Palm Sunday invite us into? To receive the King who comes low and gentle and humble. To welcome him, not just when he's easy to understand, but even when he confounds us. To trust that his road, that his narrow path, though it leads through the cross, always ends in resurrection. This King doesn't come to take from us, but to give himself to us. So wherever you are today, whether full of faith or full of questions, please hear this. Jesus comes to you. He stoops for your sake. He's not asking you to get your act together. He's asking you to receive his mercy and grace. He's not looking for your performance. He wants you to rest in his love. He's not after your admiration from a distance. He's inviting you to draw near to him and to receive him as your friend and follow him wherever he leads you. He wants you to let him in. The King is riding in, not to conquer with pride and force, but with humility, servanthood, and love. Jesus stoops to conquer. And this right here is the kind of King we can trust with all that is ours and all that we are. And if any of this was helpful for you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel so you won't miss future teachings. Also, please share it with friends or family that you think could benefit from it. Thanks for joining me here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.